Okay, on tonight's video, we finally got some decent weather after all the boiling hot weather. Trying to tune this H up. I was having trouble with the carburetor. The float seemed to be kind of sticky, so I've got that in better working shape. So hopefully that'll be better. The needle seems to stick just a little bit if it's all the way down, but once the needle stuck in the up position, but there it's down. But anyways, with the tractor running, it'll probably vibrate enough that won't be a problem. I've been fighting crap in the tank, so there we go, framing. I put a standpipe in the sediment bowl, so hopefully that'll keep the system, or the carburetor, at least a little bit cleaner. And got those pieces over there. So for anybody who is ever wondering, you can take the bottom half of the carburetor off without removing the carburetor if you need to do a little bit of tinkering instead of a full rebuild. So there's that, and I'll bring you back when we got something more exciting to show you. So hold on. Okay, I got the carburetor put back together. For anybody wondering, there's one screw in the front here that goes up from the bottom that way, and then there's one screw back here and one screw back in this region back here. There we go. And if you use a stubby screwdriver, you can just get it in there to get the screws in and out. You might need a pliers or something to help turn it when you first start taking them out, because they'll be tight. But I got the fuel bowl, or the sediment bowl, all put back together with a little standpipe in it there. So hopefully that'll at least help anyways. So okay, I'll bring you back in a second here, and we'll put some fuel in it and try and start it. Okay, and we're back. Now, to help with things, I'm going to put a little marble mystery oil in there. We're going to put, it says to use 4 ounces for 10 gallons. But I like to use it a little bit strong, so we're going to use 4 ounces, maybe 3.5. To 5 gallons. That'll keep the top end of the engine lubricated better, and keep the valves from sticking and all kinds of other sad things like that. Then we're going to put some generic seafoam in here. This is the Harvest King motor treatment, but it's basically just generic seafoam. And on this bottle it says use 1 ounce per gallon of fuel when stabilizing fuel for storage, because this fuel might sit in here for a good while, so we want it to stay stable. So we're putting in 5 gallons just to keep things easy. On the measuring cup, we're going to put in 6 ounces, so we'll have just a little bit over the recommended amount. So we'll pour that in there. There's that. And now we'll pour the gas in there so it all mixes together. And we're going to use a funnel just so it's, oh, we're going to spill too. Yay. Should have had a little bigger funnel. Yeah. It's always good to spill a little bit of fuel. Keeps the paint shiny. Ha ha ha. Not really. There, now it's pouring better. So let's stop here for just a second. Okay, our sediment bowl is leak free for now. And this is 91 octane ethanol free. Or at least I'm pretty sure it's ethanol free. 91 octane anyway, so it's the good stuff. There. So there's that. Now we got a bunch of gas in there. So we'll put the gas cap back on. We'll put this stuff away and then we'll check for leaks. Okay, move the battery out of the way so everybody can see. So we'll turn the gas on now. And our sediment bowl is filling up. And it doesn't appear to be leaking. That's good. And our carburetor doesn't appear to be dripping or anything, so hopefully the float is floating. So, I see a drip right there, so okay, I'll have to shut the fuel off. We'll have to tighten that up just a little bit. See if we can't get it to stop leaking there. Okay, let's see if we can. Yeah, it turns kind of easy. There, that feels better. Let's try this again then. No drips, no drabs. Okay. Everything seems better now. Oh, we are starting to get a little bit of leakage out of the sediment bowl there. I got that pretty tight. Okay. Let's pull that down. Here. There's a little bit of crud right here on the sediment bowl. Maybe that's allowing for just a little bit of leakage. Come on, there. Let's see, we're down. There. We're down in the thing there. Okay. There, that's plenty tight now. Let's see if that fixed anything. Let's see. Everything's covered in gas. Let's spray it with a little bit of carb cleaner because that dries off faster. I'm going to get a rag real quick. Okay, I think we are leak free now. So now we should be good to try it. Okay, so we'll move you out the way and get everything set up, and then we'll give her a whirl. Okay, check the oil real quick. And just to check, we got the gas. The gas is all the way on. Got the throttle, maybe quarter throttle or so. Neutral safety check. Ignition. Contact. Oh, she almost went. Let's try that again. Contact. Let's try just a little choke. Contact. One more time. Contact. Pretty decent. I'll have to run her a little bit here and see if anything, if she coughs and gives up or what. Let's see It's running pretty nice. Usually by now it would have flooded out because that float was sticking. Yeah. So, okay. Got good oil pressure. It must be charging. The needle's all the way. She's running pretty smooth. So I'm gonna play around with it just a little bit, and then we'll bring you back in a little bit and do some greasing. Okay, we had a pretty good run on the tractor here. It didn't spit and sputter or anything. So I think we got the fuel system working for now at least. So now we'll do a little greasing on all of your farmalls, H's and M's. There's going to be a greaser or a plug here and a plug on your distributor that you pull out every so often and put a zerk in and give it several pumps. So we'll screw a zerk in there. And we'll give it, oh, of course, I didn't fill the grease gun last time I used it. So, alright, we'll have to bring you back in a second here because I got no grease. Doggone it. Okay, once again for the second time, we're going to put a couple of pumps. 1, 2, 3, 4 into that spot there. And then I did notice that there's no plug on the distributor here, so after we wipe that zerk off, after we move this zerk over, move this zerk over, we're gonna let's see, can we get it started? It's a little bit close to the bolt there. I'm probably going to leave this zerk in here because we got no plug. I'm going to need a socket for that. But we'll put this one back in there. And tighten that up. Oh. There, we'll drop the screwdriver on the ground. Any of these spots that have a plug that you're supposed to put a zerk in, you do more or less annually. So I'm going to get a socket and we'll bring you back in a second here. Okay, and we're back again. Okay, so I hook the gun up to this, and there's a little hole on the back side and you just grease it enough, and that was enough to get the grease to squirt out. So now that that's done, just because I don't recall the last time anything was done inside the distributor, we're going to pull the cap real quick. Gotta pick the screwdriver off the ground. It's always good to throw your tools on the ground. Keeps them shiny. Not. Okay. There. And we'll just pull that off and move it out the way for a second. Pull the rotor. Let's see. No, yeah, there's no. And the dust cover. And that does look dry, so we're just going to take and wipe. Let's see, we're going to clean the tip of the grease gun end off. Get rid of that little bit of dirty stuff. We're just going to take a little bit on our finger. That might even be too much, so we'll dab it on the other finger. Make sure we got a little bit of lube for the rubbing block on the points. So there's that. We'll put our dust cover back on, and our rotor looks pretty good, so it's always good to check and see what that looks like. And we'll put the cap back on, make sure we get the notch in the right spot. Okay, the camera shut off on me, but let's continue with the greasing here. We got the distributor done. So now we'll move on to the front axle. There's a Zerk on the back side of the pivot here to get. I gotta go over. There we go. And you'll grease that till you see the grease. And then, let's see, there's no Zerks on the hubs, but we'll have to get the Zerk there. And the one down here on the knee. Till you figure you got a good amount in there. And then the lower steering bolster Zerk. Give that a good amount. And then the steering knuckle here. Grease that till we can see some. And then the front of the pivot here. We'll grease that till we, oh, there we hit an air pocket in our tube of grease. Come on. Gotta try and let the air out. There we go. Okay. So we got some grease showing there. Now we got to come over to the far side here. I'm pretty sure you can see that. Let me just double check for you. No, you can't quite see that. Let's make that better. We got to get the grease zerk here. There. There's another grease zerk down here. There. And then the grease zerk for the other knee is on the back side. There. We'll grease that till we think we got her full. I think that should be good. So that'll do it for the front end. So I'll bring you around here and we'll do some more. Okay, so now about annually, or if you're using it real hard, go by the book. There's a little cap on the water pump right there that you got to take off and put a couple shots of grease in there. Keep everything lubricated, and I believe that helps keep the packing tight so that the water doesn't leak through. So next thing would be on this, there's this bushing up here on the steering. I want to get that. And then down here on the clutch, I want to get a couple shots in there. And then let's see, the H is a little different than the M. On the M there's a inspection hole there to grease the throwout bearing. I don't see that. Maybe it's on the other side. So I'll bring you back here in a second when I know more. Okay, it looks like the spot where you grease the throwout bearing is underneath here on this one. So if we stick our, I moved the cover over and I don't feel a zerk up in there. Let's see. There's another hole up front here where you access to get the pilot bearing in the flywheel, and that's not in the right spot, so we won't worry about that right now. But in case I didn't mention, I got the other side of the clutch shaft greased. But I'll do a little investigating there on that and grease the pilot bearing in a bit. Next would be to get the outside wheel bearing there on each side. So I'm going to get that done, and we'll bring you back in a second here. Okay, since I got the mower on here, we'll go through and grease it. And there's a zerk here on the front of the shaft, PTO shaft. I didn't get that on there. Okay, we gotta turn it a little bit. Ooh, there was a rock. Alright, that's enough fighting with that one. You know there's one there. And we'll get the other one here. Alright, that's easier to find. There. And then there's a grease zerk right here, right behind your pulley. So we'll grease that real good. And there's a pivot here for the lift. I'll grease that. And then there's a grease zerk right here for the breakaway. I think that's, or at least a pivot anyways. There, we got that. Now they're probably, on these 120 mowers, there probably should be one on the back side here too, but this one's been repaired. It's been all welded up. So you can't do much about that one. And let's make sure you can see what I'm doing here. And down here on the wobble box, there's one right there. We'll grease that till we see the grease. And there's one right there for the pivot. And then down here on the pitman, there is a grease zerk. If I can, there we go. There we go. There. Okay, we got some in there. So that's good. And then there's a hole right here, and there's a grease zerk that shows up. And that needs greased. And there's some other parts here. I think I'm just gonna squirt a little. There's no, oh no, there is a grease zerk here if you still have the factory idler. So we'll grease that. And then for your tail wheel down here, hopefully you can see that, there's a grease zerk right there. And we'll give that a few pumps. There. And as far as greasing, that'll about do it on these machines. And let's see. One other thing I think I'll check before I'll call it good is we'll pull the cup off of the air cleaner and check the oil in there. The oil in here hasn't been in there very long, so it should be clean. Oh, that looks a little nasty. It maybe has a little water. Yeah, it's got a little water in it. So but it's not too bad, so I think we'll run it for now, or at least a little bit, because it's not real dirty. It'll probably be fine for now. So that is, other than changing oil and things like that, that is the majority of keeping your farmall H lubricated. So if I find anything more interesting, I'll bring you back. Otherwise, this will be the end of it. Okay, I pulled this inspection cover off. You can see the zerk up in there. So we're going to give that a shot. There. Normally, there's 3. Normally there should be a hose or a pipe coming down so you don't have to pull that inspection cover. And then I got it lined up. There's the hole for the pilot bushing on the flywheel. So I'll grease that, and then everything will be greased. So alrighty, I think that'll do it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found it useful.